Thank you for joining me this afternoon, and we're going to be reading from the book of Acts, chapter 26 this afternoon, and we'll start reading at verse 13. It says, "At midnight, O King, I saw in the light." Let me back up and say this. This particular passage I'm going to be reading is in regard to the Apostle Paul, or his name in Hebrew is Shaul. And he's actually telling about his experience to King Agrippa about on the road to Damascus, how that the Messiah or the Mashiach appeared to him and spoke to him. And he declared to him his name. And we're going to talk about the name of the Messiah, the name of the Mashiach in this particular session. So going back to verse 13, he says, "At midnight, O King, I saw in the way a light from heaven, above the brightness of the sun, shining round about me and them which journeyed with me. And when we were all fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking unto me and saying in the Hebrew tongue," or saying in the Hebrew language, "Saul," or Shaul, Shaul, "why persecute me? It is hard for you to kick against the pricks. And I said unto him, Master. And he said, I am." Now your English translation says, "I am," that I'm reading from says, "I am Jesus whom you persecute." We're going to talk about that. The fact is that right here, and we know that the name of the Messiah is not the English version Jesus. The name Jesus has only been around for about 400 years. It first came into the King James Bible around 1628 in the original 1611 King James Bible. You'll not find the letter J throughout the whole Bible because the letter J had not come into prominence in the English language until around the 17th century. But you do find it showing up in around 1628 in that version of the King James Bible, because it began to be used more so and it being introduced into the English language. So, but going back to the verse in verse 14 where Paul or Shaul is rehearsing what had happened to him on the road to Damascus, he said that the Messiah appeared unto him and said unto him, saying in the Hebrew tongue. In other words, the Messiah, I want you to notice this particular verse here, is that the Messiah was speaking Hebrew. He was not speaking Aramaic. He was not speaking Greek. He was not speaking Latin. He was not speaking English. He was speaking Hebrew. And so it was been impossible for him to say that his name was Jesus, because Jesus is an English version. It's not even a correct transliteration of his Hebrew name. And so right here, he declared that in the Hebrew language is that he spoke his name. And I'm convinced that this is put in here for a reason, for a purpose. I mean, why emphasize the fact that he spoke to him in Hebrew, except for the fact is that to show you and I that when he spoke his name in Hebrew, because I believe Yahuwah knew that in these days that we live throughout, that his name would become hidden, and but in these latter days he's making his name known. And the Messiah's name is Hebrew, and his Hebrew name is Yahusha. We'll pick this up on our next session, so thank you for joining me this afternoon. And until then, Shalom.